Wife's daughter exposed her mom's affair to me and I had to divorce her. Me, 28M, and my fiancé, 26. So we started the relationship in May 2017. I had gut feelings 2 months into the relationship that she didn't seem like she was entirely into the relationship. I had suspicions from how private she told me she was about introducing people to her family and how secretive she was with her phone. She never shared any pics of us on her IG account and took so long for her to finally share pics of us on her FB/ say we were official. I damn near had to beg for her to show us off. But at a Thanksgiving event with her family while she was cooking, I saw her phone keep going off. She always kept it on silent. I check it because in the beginning of the relationship we agreed to share passcodes. Remember that part? I see someone texting her via Snap. I check and it's some guy asking how her day is going and he misses her. I asked her who it was and she said just a friend. I tucked the convo away for later. A couple days after that event, she's sleeping over at my place and early in the morning her phone goes off, light on the phone. I look at it, and it's the same guy. I open the phone to see it's the friend. I open her phone via her passcode. I see they've been talking for many months. They talk sparingly throughout every day. He slips in some sexual talk about how he misses her body, asks about her, and also says how he wants to see her again after seeing her recently apparently. I took screenshots of their conversation, and then I woke her up and confronted her. She immediately gets defensive, and is mad about how I went into her phone and invaded her privacy. I told her I can't invade someone's privacy when she gave me her passcode. I ask her who he is and how I've had suspicions from how she's been acting. She kept denying about who he was, calling him just a friend until I told her to stop lying. She tells me that they used to date and had sex, but it didn't work out. She tells me she only talked with him of all people cause I worked nights and she had nobody to talk to, and he isn't always sexual, so you choose him. So I never told her about the screenshots cause I wanted to show her family but didn't, but flip shit on her about lying to me and talking to an old friend that she used to lay with. I reminded her how in the beginning of the relationship we agreed to not talk to anybody we used to like/be with, currently talking to or wanted to talk/be with. I told her how she's messed up big and it won't be easy to fix things. After that, trust was destroyed obviously, and I told her what she had to do to rebuild my trust in her, aka show me her phone from time to time, make me feel like I'm wanted and appreciated. She complained about showing her phone. Fast forward the years of more ups than downs. I think things are getting better. But only because we swept things under the rug. I struggle with the fact that she still hasn't done what I asked to help me build trust in her. She constantly changed her passcode and even said at one point, "What's the point of looking in my phone, because I can just change the name in my phone and nobody would know." She would also say things like that she's never dated anyone under 5 feet 11 inches, I'm all of 5 feet 6 inches, and she's 5 feet 3 inches, and just making me feel insecure. I had many signs to just leave from her: emotionally cheating, lying, being deceitful, etc. Things started spiraling, and she went out to a bar on a weekend after I brought up the same issue of wanting her to help me build trust in her, since she thinks just telling me that her guy friends are just friends, and I should trust her. Not realizing that her words are not enough anymore. Fast forward a couple days and she texts me that she has something to tell me. She texts me that she kissed someone else recently. She apparently went to a bar and danced/kissed some guy. She shoved him away when she realized it wasn't me. Again, another lie most likely. I blow her phone up trying to get her to answer, and she has the nerve to text me that she's on a call. Who the hell else is more important to talk with than me? I text her mom that she's cheating on me since she still lives with her parents. I sent her the screenshot I took of her daughter telling me she cheated at the bar. My ex gets mad that I'm telling her family what she's done wrong, but she felt okay to tell her mom and sis about when we had arguments sharing our business. She finally picks up a video call, and I tell her to start talking. She says how she felt lonely even though I saw her mostly every weekend, send flowers to her job randomly, buy her lunch and drive an hour to eat with her, etc. So she's not lonely. She has a pitiful look on her face while I chew her out. I asked why she would do all of this knowing I have trust issues, and we have a long-distance relationship. Why do such a thing? My thoughts were that she didn't care and wanted to get rid of me. She only texted me for my birthday, but took me out to dinner. She said she thought it would help things. I opted for couples therapy. I read tons of articles and books on relationships. I even offered to bring them and read together and do the work they talked about together. She still declined. She said she read articles but never showed them to me when I asked. So most likely another lie. I started researching therapists and landed on one down by her area. I paid for us to go and she only showed up to 3 sessions, and from the therapist's words she was cold and argumentative. Didn't want to talk about herself, but was willing to point out your shortcomings. She never came back saying she was angry at the sessions. She left 2020 after we shared Christmas with our families, 'cause I was still holding out for love. I also found out she went back talking to the same guy she caught texting YRS earlier. Guess I was weak 'cause she left January 3rd by text. Fast forward a couple months of sparingly texting 'cause we both were hard to let go of the relationship. I stopped talking to her for a couple weeks, and I finally break and ask how she's been. She says she's getting her own spot and moving the next day. My ass, still loving her, said I could help her move. I show up the next day and her family is super happy to see me. I should have put her on the spot then and told her family about her cheating, even though her mom knows already and doesn't bring it up too much 'cause it bothers my daughter, and I don't want her mad at me. But you won't hold her accountable for her actions. I help her move and even go shopping with her for stuff in her new apartment. I try to talk about hoping we can have a clear heart-to-heart sit-down. Nothing. But we talk as if nothing has changed between us. All her running around for days getting her act in order with little sleep. I go even further out my way and make a list of groceries and buy her food and wine to fill her fridge. I want to sit with her and talk about all we've been through. But I let her sleep. The next month she tells me in a long text about how we should move on and how it's better for us. Oh, she never apologized for anything. The one time she did was in her last text saying I know I made some mistakes, that was it. The only time in 2.8 years she's ever apologized. Says she had long to think about all we've been through. When in actuality I already knew about her new guy she was talking to long before she put it on FB, and back when I was helping her move I knew she was talking to someone. I'm sorry for the super long rant, it still hurts knowing I did all of this and loved her deeply. Our families were great together and loved each of us. We were a power couple in their eyes. Best friends. The first young woman I really wanted to marry. We talked about baby names, wedding ideas, future vacations, etc. Crazy how you can blame me for calling you out on your BS and trying to hold you accountable, but you go and tell people I'm insecure or controlling. I was a cop, so she would say that me questioning her was like an interrogation. LOL. Well, yeah, I'm gonna question you if you've lied, cheated, been very secretive and deceitful. I just wanted the one who said she loved me to actually mean it and work at being sincere and fixing her mistakes. I know my shortcomings and I apologized for the role I played to her and the therapists, but I know I tried to fix things. Her mother and brother-in-law are the only ones that saw the screenshots and know the truth. Like I said, I'm sorry for the rant. She moved on rather quickly and just makes me feel like she never loved me, and it was all an act, because her family loved me. I just miss her and her family. Everything felt so right. Not the downsides, obviously. Again, sorry. I did what I thought was right for a man to do, and I thought holding her accountable was right. It's like all that I did, all of it meant nothing. And it broke me a bit. She threw it away, and I was left picking up the pieces. Am I wrong to feel this way? I shocked my wife by confronting her after wedding 'cause I knew about AP. So over the last few months I, 38, noticed my wife, 36, of 19 years pulling away from me, and I tried fixing things, too late. I really thought we were making good progress. It's a long story, I did write more down, but it's really long. But to kind of sum it up, she had an emotional affair, at least, with someone who she has known since she was young, and we recently ran into at a wedding. He's also married. I noticed something was off right after the wedding and later found out he contacted her as soon as he got back to his state, after the wedding. He always liked her when we were young, but she never looked at him like that. He's not very attractive, and he's her best friend's brother, so I never thought of him as a threat. They had a months-long Snapchat affair that culminated in a late-night rendezvous before I ultimately caught them. I think something happened on the wedding weekend that led to him contacting her in the first place, but she denies it. Probably nothing physical then, but at the least some flirting, and he probably caught some kind of sign, or saw a weakness in our relationship that could be exploited. After the wedding I grew suspicious and started snooping through her stuff, for the first time ever, and felt more and more guilty, until I ultimately ended up confessing. I was made out to be the bad guy for sure, but she knew I was suspicious, and she should have stopped talking to him then. In hindsight, it probably pushed them closer, as his wife seems to be overbearing. I saw messages of him talking crap about her. I specifically asked her about him, but I think I was in denial that it could be him based on the past, and she also laughed it off when I brought him up. There were some signs that it was him, though I was just blind, dumb, and in denial. Also, he lives so far away, 15-hour drive, and I was looking for someone that lived here. So she went to visit family by 1 hour 15 minutes away, where he lives, which isn't exactly abnormal as she goes there a few times a year anyway. I was only slightly suspicious because we were already planning a trip down there 6 weeks after for another family event. Because of the location and the fact she loves going there so much, I was able to reconcile it at the time. The week she left was probably the best week we had in the time I was working on our marriage. She was emotionally available, attentive, and sexual, and I really thought we were getting there. So she goes down there, and the first 2 days she's with family and my kids that went with her, and everything seemed normal. On the third day I barely talked to her, as well as the day she was coming home, which started making me suspicious all over again. So for the first time in weeks I started snooping and noticed a phone call from a number I didn't recognize, and I ran it through a database I just found and saw that she talked to him the day she was coming home for about 5 minutes. I chalked this up to him seeing on Facebook or something that she was there, so I decided I would ask her when she got home, and if she answered honestly, I would let it go. Well, as you can guess, she denied talking to him or seeing him, and the crap hit the fan. I discovered she had changed his name, and he changed his emoji to a female in Snapchat to hide it from me. She immediately blamed it on my jealousy and insecurity, and asked for the benefit of the doubt and claimed they were just friends. She blocked him and removed the app, and we made up that night with her being affectionate and apologetic. I still had a gut feeling there was more to the story, so I got up in the middle of the night and went to her phone I had access for the past few months and DL her Snapchat data. Most people don't realize that the app saves everything, and you can recover some or most of it at any time. It didn't show pics, but part of the chat I saw was him telling my wife he was in trouble that morning with his wife, and she had noticed the cruise control was left on in the car, and that he had disabled location services. It didn't show her parts of the conversation. He also asked her if everything went okay, or something like this. She woke up and noticed what I had done and broke her phone. I asked for an explanation, and she gave me some stories that kinda sorta made sense, turned out to be total lies, but didn't admit anything or link these messages to herself in any way, and I kinda fell for it, I guess, but still wasn't convinced. The next day I called him, and he completely downplayed their relationship as well. He said they are like brother and sister, and I should give her the benefit of the doubt, and basically backed her story. I felt mildly reassured after talking to him. And like I said before, he's unattractive to me, and she claims this as well, short, bald, red-faced, and also married with kids. I also called her cousin who she stayed with and asked her to not lie to me. She doesn't particularly like me, so I thought if it was bad she wouldn't tell me, but she also corroborated their story lies. For the next week we were at odds most of the time, but she was trying to reassure me and acting lovingly when I wasn't fighting with her or questioning her. I do feel that she was secretly stressed out and trying to hide it. To my knowledge, they had no communication during this week because her phone was broken, and she didn't have his number saved anywhere that I could find. Also, she did not download Snapchat again that I could tell, and I was checking constantly. Then after she got a new phone, we were laying in bed and I asked to see a picture she had taken while she was there, and she handed over the phone willingly. When I had my hands on the phone, I started snooping in front of her, and saw a conversation between her and her cousin where she told her cousin I wouldn't let it go, and the cousin told her to leave me. I then looked where the Snap data was saved on the other phone, and to my surprise it was there on the new phone. I opened it, and since it was an upgraded phone, it was showing both sides of the conversation. Now I could see a few things from her side of the conversation, and the first being he knows don't answer my messages, which she later admitted she sent the first night, while we were fighting a week earlier. The second message was leave phone here, be out in a minute. This is when crap really hit the fan. We had Life 360, so she left the phone there so I wouldn't notice she left the house. I had also noticed previously when I woke up for work that morning at 5:30 a.m. that her phone was 10% battery. Immediately she blurted out that they had only kissed before I could even question her or read any further. As I was marching out of the house and calling her cousin, who had lied to me, I accidentally locked myself out of the phone so I didn't get to read any more messages. Realistically, I think I saw enough. She would not let me back on the phone and cried a lot and left with me so the kids would not hear us fighting. She was trying to hurt herself so I would not leave her alone that night. I stayed with her and questioned her profusely, but she wasn't giving up anything. My life was rocked, my heart was broken. Neither of us went to work the next day, and I questioned her constantly all day harshly, but she would not admit anything beyond the awkward kiss. I called him also that night 3 or 4 times, and he immediately admitted without hesitation that they kissed but stopped. She claimed they were together less than an hour, he said about 30 minutes. They both said they just talked. He sold it to me as guys being guys, and that I probably do the same things myself. He denied that he wanted a relationship with her, and even went as far as to tell me the reason she wouldn't let me back into the Snap data was because she might be talking to another guy. He basically crap all over her, and also wouldn't admit anything beyond the kiss, even with me threatening to call his wife. Unless they had worked out this story sometime in the prior week without me realizing they were communicating, their stories matched pretty closely. I didn't eat or sleep for 4 days and constantly asked her a barrage of questions. She ended up letting some stuff out eventually that I believed to be true over the course of a few days. She denied anything ever happening at the wedding and still does. She said there was very mild talk of being together, but mostly from his side, and it was vague and in a roundabout way. She said there was obviously flirting and feel-good stuff, but she never truly expected it to go anywhere. I found out he would message her things like "Good morning, beautiful," and called her babe. Her cousin said that a lot of it was corny, and they laughed at him for trying so hard. I'm sure he made her feel good, and the whole thing was probably very exciting to her at my expense. She said she was more attracted to the attention he was giving her, but it never correlated that it was him on the other end of the line, rather some fantasy man. She doesn't go into great detail about their conversations, but still downplays them for the most part. She said that they would message sporadically and sometimes not respond immediately, but almost always at work. She says she knows it was an affair, and it was wrong, and takes responsibility for this part at least. She admitted that she had called him after I confessed to snooping on her, and asked him to change the emoji. I later discovered they talked for about 20 minutes. She claims she never had his number, and that he sent it via Snapchat that day. She still never told me how he got her number and claims she doesn't know. She said he only called her the first time because of something that happened at the wedding, that I knew about and was involved in, and he was checking up on her. She said it started off as a friendship and escalated. She said they stopped talking for 2.5 weeks in the middle of these 3 months, because she told him we were working on our relationship and she didn't want to hurt me. Her cousin also told me about them stopping talking as well. She said it started again when he commented on one of her stories. She claims she only sent him one fully clothed selfie, which I think I saw in her camera roll. She said she didn't go on the trip intending to see him, but it was mentioned at one point, and that up until he was basically at the front door she didn't expect him to actually show up. Her cousin enabled her to see him, and knew everything and lied to me as well. She claims she told my wife whatever she does just not to sleep with him. That leads me to believe that the cousin thought there was a chance of it happening based on my wife's demeanor and attitude towards the interactions. A good friend would have tried hard to stop her, in my opinion. My wife also claims that the thought of sex had crossed her mind, but that she was aware enough to know she didn't want that and knew she would not do it. She said in hindsight that she feels so dumb and can't understand even herself how it got that far, or she let herself get that carried away. She said she feels really bad for hurting me, and is ashamed because she is not that person. She said it was very awkward being with him, and it made her feel really bad and guilty, and only confirmed to her how much she still loves me. I'm sure there's still things she's not telling me, and she never did let me see the Snapchat data. Eventually, I just told her to delete it, and how to delete it. She says the Snapchat data won't help me, and there's definitely going to be things in there that will make me more upset. From the bit that I saw, there was never confirmation of anything happening other than him saying his wife was mad at him. Like I said, the last thing I saw was her saying she was leaving her phone, so if they had sex, she didn't message him about it after. Until this point, I trusted her completely, and she has never ever done anything to make me question her loyalty. She has been a good wife and mother for a long time, even when I wasn't a good husband. Since this discovery, she has been completely open, loving, and attentive to me, and she claims this has only reconfirmed how much she truly loves me. Our relationship right now, even with me thinking all these terrible things off and on, is probably the best it's been in years. She was terrified that I would leave, and to be honest, I suppose there's still a chance that I might. I want to believe her so badly because I do love her with all my heart. The wife I have known for 19 years is not capable of doing the worst things that are going through my mind. I just don't want to or cannot see it. Because of all the lies she told me, I feel like I saw a side of her I never knew existed, and I guess there's a chance that this side of her could do the things I fear most. I just truly believe when someone's good that the good will shine through even in their darkest times. As bad as this situation is, it feels forgivable on some or most levels, I think. I am just praying, probably naively, that her conscience did stop her from crossing that last line. A friend that had been cheated on before told me that you have to just assume they did the worst and decide if you can live with that, because I'll never truly believe what she says, but I'm not sure if that's exactly the best way to look at it and heal. Right now I am staying with her, and I'll probably never know all the details, and I'll never truly believe the story I've been given or trust her so blindly for a long time. She has been really trying to work on our relationship now, we both are finally, and trying to prove to me how much she loves me every minute of every day. I am enjoying rediscovering my wife, and it is nice to have her back completely. It just sucks it took this to get her to come back to me.